Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Snow White with the Red Hair, chapters 128 and 129. I wanted to wait until Little Miss and Good Sir came out with the translations for this, but if that's going to happen, it's going to be very late, so I'm just going to go ahead. I liked this translation group by the end of the 127 specials, so hopefully it'll be much more readable than it was in the past, which made me drop the series for a bit. A couple of years ago now, I think it's been. But anyway, when we last left our heroes, ignoring the 127 little special chapters that don't really factor in, just having some fun time with Hisame and Kiki. When we last really left our heroes in the present, everyone was sort of enjoying the aftermath of the perfume incident, of everything, of Kaguya being rescued and the conspirators being captured. Having a grand old time. Kaguya and Eisatsu had a nice little reconciliation as they both sort of talked about how much they meant to each other. And then it was time for everyone to head back to Lyrias, or in the case of Zen's group, back to Wistal or Wyland. I forget which one they're hanging out in. I always get those two confused. And then Garrick was there. There were some fun antics with the head pharmacist over in Lyrias. And then some time passed, and Shirayuki, Obi, and Ryuu went back to Regalia to finally have the phostyrias discussion now that all of that stuff is basically, all of the drama is over. It's time to actually get down to the sort of business of why they were there in the first place. With Shirayuki asking Eisatsu the simple question of, do you like plants, to sort of kickstart that discussion. Let's dive right on in to chapter 128. Do you like plants? And so, for a while, time flows. So yeah, that bit with Eisatsu very much felt like an epilogue. I don't think we're really gonna get a lot of, circling back to what was going on there, beyond just, Eisatsu allowed use of phostyrias in his territory. That's basically all we really need from that. And Obi's talking to Shirayuki here. Master is anticipating that you contact him whenever you know your next move. Anything from Wistal Castle yet? And Shirayuki just shakes her head. Not yet. Head pharmacist Garrick told us to wait in Lyrias anyway. I also reported that the first year of the phostyrias dissemination will be limited to the 2 checkpoint stations that we got permission for. I think this is Obi's line. I'm sure they'll get some instructions soon. Oh, right, because it wasn't... The thing with Eisatsu was, the other checkpoint counter to Lyrias, right? Oriold, it is. So, Obi notes something that Shirayuki's holding. What's that? It's from the Oriold checkpoint and Lord Eisatsu. And we don't really find out more about that as we check in on... I'm always struggling with the Lyrias crew's name. I think this is Suzu, right? Or is Suzu the girl here? Let me see. Quick little wiki search. If my internet was faster, there it is. Yeah, this is Suzu. And Yuzuri is his friend. Suzu, still half asleep, mutters, "Morning." And Shirayuki looks at him. Good morning. Couldn't sleep? Nah, it's not that. Obi took me out drinking last night, and here I am. If I go to the night circle, I might see our lovely Obi there. But Shirayuki kind of cuts him off there. May I sit? Sure. And we see Yuzuri in the background counting teacups, I guess, with a 1, 2, 3. I've gotten a few confirmations and suggestions from the Oriold checkpoint. And Suzu and Yuzuri look over it. The reason for Earl Regilia's cooperation is because of one thing. Shirayuki and company? I think this is Suzu's line. The translation from Clarinet Press is still, not incredible. It still is a little rough. It's still a little bit of, what's going on here? What is actually trying to be conveyed? But, it's what we got, so. And we have this image of Eisatsu talking. People go out to see flowers and lakes. It's my job to make Oriold bustle with activity anyway. Lyrias is known for their tent districts, so I'm willing to help, he said. And Suzu questions, do you know where you'll be planting them in the tent district? And Shirayuki just nods, not really answering, but just not answering the where exactly, but just the yes. And Yuzuri comments, I heard Earl Regilia's estate gardens are really amazing. Which, given how the gardens tied into the Kaguya stuff, yeah, that's a telling thing to bring back. His estate gardens in Oriold could easily gather a crowd of 100 people. Even the regular caretakers there are about to be decided on. I heard from Yuzuri's list of plant collectors. And as they continue to talk, This is what's his name? Is that Shidon? Looking at the wiki here. Please wiki load faster. Yeah, it's Shidon who's with Ryuu, who notes them. Oh. And then all of them gather. I don't quite recognize the two people on the far side of Shidon. Oh, names. Izaru is Kazuha, a Lyrias pharmacist, and Izaru, Shidon's assistant from same hometown as Kazuha. So just all the Lyrias, not all the Lyrias pharmacy people, but a lot of them just hanging out. You know, it's been a long time since we really spent just casual time in Lyrias. And it's nice to just sort of vibe for a bit. And then Kazuha says, it seems we'll have more paperwork and things to do from now on. And Suzu just tells him, other people will too. And Shidon tells the group, this is the path that Shirayuki, Obi, and Ryuu made. Let's get everything ready for the first planting day. Okay, so now with like all of the paperwork, all of the permissions done, it's time to actually plant the phostyrias. Not all across Clarinets just yet, but like in those two places for the first year to get people excited about the plant. That's the sort of very, very step-by-step plotting, as is the series way. We cut to some time later. We see Ryuu in like the library, and we note Shirayuki a ways away. And he looks at the book he's holding and like buries his face in it to like hide from Shirayuki. And someone, probably Shirayuki, called out to him, Ryuu, I knew you'd be here. And yeah, whatever failed attempt at hiding Ryuu was doing there just did not work. Shirayuki-san, do you have some time? Yes. I would like to treat you to dinner. And Shirayuki gives a little, like, pointing to herself, like, confusion, which, like, you know, good for Ryuu being a good mentor here. And they're at the restaurant. Thank you for waiting. And Shirayuki asks Ryuu, so what's the matter, Ryuu? For you to treat me to dinner? And Ryuu comments, because you see me as a mentor. Anyway, please eat a lot. There's something else going on here. There is something going on here that Ryuu is not telling Shirayuki. I don't know what it is, but I don't know, this almost feels like this is not a series where it's like Ryu's gonna die or something. He's gonna like have some deadly illness. That would just be nonsensical. But like it feels like a goodbye dinner, a goodbye that Ryuu can't bring himself to say, which would tie into why he hides from Shirayuki initially. He doesn't really want to like have this conversation. But anyway, Shirayuki's response, okay, thank you. And then we cut to Suzu and Yuzuri entering into the restaurant. I think the same restaurant, because the waitress sees them. Ah, welcome. Your friends are upstairs. And then Ryuu tells Shirayuki, Shirayuki-san, I've decided from now on I will remain as a Lyrias pharmacist. Oh! Okay, because Shirayuki's plan is to eventually, at some point in the distant future, leave Lyrias. And Ryuu will not be going back with her. And Shirayuki freezes at that. And Ryuu goes on, I've been thinking about it ever since we got back from Lord Asetsu's residence. I also wrote to head pharmacist Garrick about it. I got a reply. She said she can make it official. And he just delivers this, and Shirayuki is stunned at that still very future departure. And we see Ryuu starts to tear up as he admits all this. The reason I love herbal medicine, and why I go to the library is because as long as I put in the effort, I'll have a place for me. And also, with the time that I have, I think that I can be helpful to someone. That's an interesting line, because I was just like, this isn't the kind of series where Ryuu would die or something so melodramatic as an illness, but with the time that I have, that might be a weird translation bit, but also, it might not be a weird translation bit. Like, that feels like the sort of thing you say when you're dying. So, I don't think that's where Sarada's going with this, but also, I don't know. I sure hope not. But, like, who knows? And Shirayuki takes this all in. Ryuu, like, wipes his eyes, and Shirayuki tells him, I've been by your side, so I understand. Lyrias has become that place where you belong, Ryuu. Okay, it's full on, except I think that's just a weird little translation bit with the time that I have. Like, just meaning in the span of a life, and not like that life is ending or nothing. But yeah, I do love that notion of, like, there's a little bit of because as long as I put in the effort, I'll have a place for me. Like, I'm not sure it's the effort itself that creates the place as much as just, like, good people who care about him, which we have seen in the Lyrias pharmacists. They all do. They've cared about him and Shirayuki the whole time. Shirayuki, of course, can't stay here because her fate is tied up with Zen or whatever. But Ryuu has really found a home here while they've been here for, like, 2 years. And Ryuu smiles. Yeah, it feels like that to me. And we see Suzu and Yuzuri are watching on in the distance. Let's work together again someday. Yeah. And then we cut to some time later. I think this is the Lord of Lyrias, who we met in the past. It's been a while, though. I don't remember his name. Congratulations. You are free to do your work in Lyrias, as you see fit. And Ryuu tells him, yes, sir. So now it's all official. He is staying in Lyrias. Shirayuki is, like, still in Lyrias, though. It's not quite a goodbye just yet. But we see this, like, little, like, gorgeous, like, sky roof design that Shirayuki looks up at. And just smiles, thinking about Ryuu's growth and his sort of journey into adulthood. You know, they've always had this sort of, like, weird... The mentor-student dynamic of Shirayuki and Ryuu is always interesting, because Shirayuki is so much older, but Ryuu also has that, like, increased experience, and so they're both kind of mentors for each other in different ways. But they're, like, he's both mentor and, like, kid brother to her, is the vibe I get. But anyway, we cut to her telling Obi all this. Though Ryuu is going to be a Lyrias pharmacist, huh? And Shirayuki just says, yep. Did you get invited too? Oh, Shirayuki's look is just like, fuck off. That, like, pure fuck off. You crossed a bit of a line. Not a huge line, but a bit of a line there. And Obi laughs it off. Lil Ryuu said that he thinks that teacher and student are tied together for life. And that takes Shirayuki by surprise. You and Lil Ryuu will still have many chances to see each other. And Shirayuki just comments, unless he expels me. Well, you could always change careers. There was a rumor about Lada-san becoming a musician. I feel like I should know Lada, but that name does not instantly ring a bell. I'm gonna see if the wiki can help. If the wiki could load fast. Oh, the aristocrat, the guy who just gave Ryuu his what's the word? His certification. And then Shirayuki pulls something out of her bag and hands it to Obi, saying, here's the prototype. We plan to use the plaque to mark the phostyrias by the checkpoints. What do you think? I'll ask Lada-san about it. Not bad. And we see it, and it's this sort of, like, double diamond design. I don't quite know what to make of it from, like, a thematic standpoint. And then they see Ryuu in the distance. Ryuu! And the trio meets up, no longer fully tied together, though the fact that Shirayuki is still in Lyrias means they are still together for a time. But still friends, regardless of that sort of bond slowly, not eroding, but changing. The winter season begins from here. Later, as people observe the lantern flowers in the violent region of Clariness, the name phostyrias spreads across the land. Lyrias Checkpoint, Oriel Checkpoint, the Regalia Estate, and Violent Castle are named as the places where it all begins. So this also, like, much like 127, felt like an epilogue to specifically the drama around Eisatsu and Kaguya. This feels like another sort of epilogue to the whole, like, phostyrias saga, at least for now. There still is, like, the plan to spread the phostyrias throughout the north. But this does feel like an end, with Ryuu and Shirayuki not really splitting, but, like, still having the dynamics change to the point that it feels kind of like a split. And so, yeah, the seasons are beginning to turn, growth is happening all around, and let's just dive right on into the next chapter. Let's not keep anything waiting. Big hit. Phostyrias is finally ready to spread throughout the world. Now a new chapter begins. Yet this is basically a new arc. Our picture here is of Shirayuki chowing down on, like, some cake, it looks like. I don't know what to make of that. But anyway, we open with, I think this is Suzu or maybe Shidan, at, like, some like, billboard. Pharmacist wanted. The following conditions must be met. We don't see those conditions. But we cut to Shirayuki in, like, her office. And then I think this is Kazuha from the last chapter, right? Hey, Shirayuki-kun, how long are you staying in Lyrias exactly? Shouldn't you be called back to the castle by now? And Suzu, like, reaches from behind and, like, covers his mouth because, like, you don't need to bring that up right now, man. Kazuha makes some tea.
I'm not sure I understand.
That is Siri reacting to something I said. I don't know. Kazuha makes some tea. What? No, I already had some. And then Ryuu just comments, I'm gonna go check the medicine in the back. But Shirayuki just, I think, sort of just wants to leave the situation here. Ryuu, I'll do it. She heads off, ignoring that whole thing that Kazuha said. And Suzu whispers to Ryuu, she's still waiting to hear back, and he just nods. And then she's, doing inventory in the back. Check, 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 and check. And then there's this, like, bam. I think she, like, whacks herself with the book. No, it can't possibly be that. Maybe even the chief pharmacist forgot that I'm a court pharmacist. Okay, I don't think that's right. Though, like, we're seeing that with the passage of time, right, because how long was she initially sent to Lyrias for? Like, a couple years? It's been a couple years, so... Especially with the phostyrias work mostly done, it is kind of time for Shirayuki to, like, return to her home, return to the castle. But Obi's listening in. I don't think that's it. I know, but still, if it goes on like this, and she, like, pauses as Obi presses, if it does, it's like my ambitions and goals would be in limbo. That's true, but it's only you. Which, that feels like another weird translation. I think he's just saying, but, like, only your goals would be in limbo? Because Shirayuki questions, what about you, Obi? As you can see, I'm doing just fine. But yeah, there hasn't been any progress on His Majesty's travel directives either. Until the perfume situation has calmed down, we are on standby. Right, because in 127 we learned there were still, like, people going out and providing antidotes for the perfume. So I guess that just hasn't really been handled yet. And as they're wrapped up in it, maybe it's not best for them to leave the north right now? I don't know. Shirayuki agrees, yeah, I didn't mention the other purpose of our assignment since it didn't come up, but aren't we supposed to be making connections? Make connections with the people of Wyland was, I guess, way, way back, pre-time skip, to the point that I just barely remember that stuff, was what Izana must have ordered. But, like, she's been doing that. Like, she's been making connections with people ever since she came up here. And Obi points that out. Don't you think you've done enough? Even Master and the others were shocked you already met with the Rugilia and Burgad houses. And Shirayuki smiles in acknowledgement of that. Should we go to Whistle Castle, then? We were ordered to stand by, young miss. And Shirayuki turns away, dejected that she can't head back to the castle. Why don't you just keep working diligently, as you always do? Who knows? Maybe even His Royal Highness will show up. And Shirayuki does not... Like, that feels like Obi trying to bait Shirayuki.
I'm still not sure about that.
I don't know what she's hearing that she thinks is Siri.
No problem.
I really just don't know what's going on over there. My phone is too far away for me to really just easily check. But anyway, Shirayuki is just not taking his bait until she suddenly turns to him. And realizes that he might know, given that he does work directly under Zen, technically. He would know. And we get to the next scene, and Kiki and Mitsuhide are here, and Shirayuki and Obi have come to greet them. And Shirayuki's already, like, talking with Kiki. Is Hisame-san at Wyland Castle? Yeah. As His Majesty's wedding is approaching. His Highness has been busy running around, so he's there in his stead. And Obi turns to Mitsuhide. So, is His Highness leading the preparations for His Majesty's wedding? It looks like it. Is the braided Burgad at the castle? You mean Tariga Dono? Tariga's not there. He had to run an errand. And Zen's just here! Zen is ditching the castle to hang out in Lyrias for a bit. Good for him. Go see your girl, man. Yo, long time no see. Which is interesting, like, it clearly has for them, because it's probably been some months since the Rugilia incident. But, like, it's only been a chapter without him. whether you count the bonus chapters or not, it's only been a chapter without Zen. But everyone is sort of, Shirayuki and Obi are surprised at Zen's appearance. Kiki and Mitsuhide knew, and Zen just smiles at Shirayuki as Shirayuki laughs. And I think this is Zen's line here. Did you get a reward for completing the case from Makuri Dono? I guess referring to the whole Regalia incident. Let me wiki search who Makuri was. I feel like I should know. Oh, Makuri's the lord. Okay, I was confused. It wasn't Lada who gave Ryuu the certificate. That was, I guess, someone we haven't seen in a while. I just don't remember him very well. That was Makuri, who did initially tell them to go to Regalia and they ended up getting caught up in the perfume situation from that. Yep. And Obi just nods gratefully. And Zen comments, and that makes it your second one. I think referring to the Olin-Maris incident being the first from way back. Have you heard anything from Whistle? I didn't think you two would still be in Lyrias. And we see Shirayuki and Obi are very bitter about that. That is like the worst thing to bring up right now. And Shirayuki then just comments, have you heard anything, Zen? About you? No. Nothing. And everyone just sits in silence with the frustration of the lack of communication that Izana has given them. Though, to be fair, Izana's getting married. He's a little busy right now. Obi then just comments, Master, you guys aren't just going to leave on the same day that you arrived, are you? Kazuki's done that before. Reference to Volume 16, Chapter 74.5. And Zen comments, yeah, I think meaning that he's not going to leave on the same day that you arrived. Because Obi then responds, in that case, since you have time, which implies he's not leaving right away, do you want to clean up your desk? Oh, that's right. Actually, I do have tomorrow off. And she just sort of leaves Zen. I'll be back. Okay. Don't overdo it. And she heads off to go do some work. But also, it feels like Obi wanted to have a private chat with Zen here. Because Zen then turns to Obi. You really haven't heard anything? We were hoping you did. And Kiki turns to them. Maybe we should have contacted you before this. And Obi responds, if that's the case, I'm sure young Miss would have been happy if you visited her. But Zen is just lost in thought. I see. And then picks up on that would have been happy comment and turns to Obi. You don't think she is now? I'm just telling it as I see it. And Zen is, like, concerned. She smiled, didn't she? And Mitsuhide is just like, yeah. But we see Shirayuki on the stairs, just, like, stopped there, about to go down. I thought she was, like, maybe crying, but Mitsuhide then comes out. Shirayuki, I'll see you out. And she doesn't look to have been crying. Though she does kind of, like, scratch it. Like, her head was leaning on the railing. Or she was leaning over the railing and she, like, goes to grab her head or something. You seem like you might fall and hurt yourself. Your visit with His Highness was sudden, but should I take you back to him? I think that might mean a sort of, like, technically kidnapping move? Like, take her back permanently to Wylant or something? Might be what's being gotten at there. Because she seems like to really have to, like, she's a little stunned at that, which makes it seem like a bigger deal than I would think walking into another room would be. But she goes on, Mitsuhide-san, may I visit His Highness again later tonight? And I guess he says yes, because they then go down the stairs. Zen, Kiki, and Obi watching. As back at the pharmacist office, Shirayuki, like, slaps herself. This isn't good. At this rate, I'll end up missing out on the things that I can do. And we see Suzu and Ryuu is watching this. Right. There's nothing I can do about the order to stand by. First, I have to get a grip. And then we cut back to the billboard from earlier in the chapter. The pharmacist wanted billboard. This is a job posting? So this is for a different pharmacy? And Shirayuki's walking by as these guys are talking about that. A title? I don't know. Maybe they put the posting in the wrong place? And Shirayuki looks at it. We still don't see what it says. And later on, she leaves. Obi sees it too. What the? Pharmacist wanted. The following conditions must be met. Must have a title bestowed by a neighboring royal family. must have an identification tag associated with the Kingdom of Clariness and connections with a noble house. To be continued September 22nd, which is only 2 days from now, though I reckon it'll be a little later for the translation to come out. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Raj gave her a title, right? At some, like, around season 2 or so, right? Gave her something of a title, way back when, which would, because if so, this is very much, like, a job posting looking specifically for Shirayuki, very clearly baiting her for something, which is interesting. Like, that might be, you know, it's the fact that this chapter is so... I'm going to largely focus on this chapter because I talked about most of what I wanted to talk about with 128 while I was like reading 128 in that immediate little section of the video right after I finished the chapter itself. Because they're very clearly, like, divided. Like, they're not, like, two parts of the same arc. They're very clearly different beasts. And, like, this one is clearly built... Like, that was clearly an epilogue. This is clearly a prologue. And it's very focused on being in this sort of limbo state. That Obi and Shirayuki don't know what's going on right now. That their time in Lyrias should have come to an end. Which absolutely makes the last chapter read a little differently, in that, like, if Shirayuki and Obi believe that, like, they were right about to leave Lyrias, that changes a lot of their interactions with Ryuu. That was meant to be when they say goodbye, when they sort of split. And then that didn't happen. Because, you know, Izana, maybe he's just too busy with the wedding to really focus on them, but it still is just like, you know, they're in this holding position, and both Shirayuki and Obi are a little frustrated by that, and then this mysterious posting comes up that does seem to be very specifically about Shirayuki. So I don't know, like, part of me is guessing maybe it's like Izana, for some reason is being as roundabout as he's been roundabout with Shirayuki in the past. It wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility with him. But it's still just a little weird, ain't it? I don't know. It's just... I don't know who's doing... Like, the most likely option is that it's someone we just don't know. It's some other noble with something he wants Shirayuki to do. And that it's not Izana, it's not even tied to him at all. It's just like, I'm being suspicious of him for no reason. I don't know. That being said, the rest of the chapter is just sort of hanging out. Like I said earlier, the sort of the long time no see bit with Zen doesn't really work because it hasn't been that long for us. Like, it's been 2 chapters, and we had the 127 like 3-part side chapter. So, like, it hasn't been that long since we last saw Zen. Even if it's been months for the characters. And even then, they've gone years without seeing each other. So, like, I don't know. It doesn't quite... It's not that the line is a problem. I'm not harping on one random little line. But, like, it does feel like it's meant to be this kind of grand reunion, and it's not. We already had the grand reunion. It wasn't that long ago. But it still is nice. Even if we don't get a lot of, like, bonding, and more just Shirayuki being increasingly concerned about the fact that she's still in Lyrias. That she should have been back at Whistle by now, and she's not. And so we'll see if the fact that she's still, like, weirdly on standby makes that pharmacist wanted listing called out to her. Because she might... I don't know, it feels like we're being set up for her to take it. I'm not sure why she necessarily would, but that does seem to be where the story is going. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, or, you know, do whatever makes you happy, you know? And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!